Active week in the AFC South, despite the Texans not being active. It is SNL, Landry Locker, Cody Stutes with you. We hope to see you. Volume 3 of the SNL gathering at Spanky's. John McClain's going to be there, so he'll be joining us as well. We're gonna get the McClainer on his worked in a crowd vibe, and we're gonna have a big game to look ahead to with the Seattle Seahawks versus the Houston Texans, which I'm calling right off the top, Cody, the biggest game of the year. I think this is a swing game for the Texans. I think there's two things that they're going to have to do if they want to make any resemblance of a run. They're going to have to beat good teams, and they're going to have to eventually win on the road. Right now, you have 5 road games remaining. You've already played 3. The only team that you beat was a dog-butted, depleted Baltimore Ravens team that is more than a shell of themselves. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to eventually win a game on the road, and you're going to eventually have to beat good teams. And I think Seattle is both of those, and it's an atmosphere that most likely the Texans are going to have to experience if they want to make this season a little more closer to what they had hoped would happen before the season started.
This game before the season was, I don't think I had a lot of respect for the Seattle Seahawks and what they were going to put together this year. And here they are a few weeks into the season. Not only are they playing good football, but they're tied for first in their division, and they're welcoming you on Monday Night Football, coming off of handling a team that gave you some trouble earlier in the season. And to add to your point about you got to win on the road and you've got to beat good football teams, this game's really important to make sure that the previous 2 games matter more than just wins over bad teams. We've talked about this. Coming out of those 2 games against the Titans and the Ravens, they don't matter unless you build on them and you see things as kind of a through thread for this team that they're headed down the right path, they're headed in the right direction. This one means a ton for that. This is your first opportunity to build on those 2 wins over bad teams against a good team. That's exactly what the Seahawks are right now. They're a good football team, and you might be playing them a week from today on Monday Night Football with them in first place in their division, because the Rams and the 49ers could lose next weekend. And next thing you know, you're playing the first place Seattle Seahawks. And so it's a huge matchup. It starts sort of that little super important 4-game stretch where you're talking about, hey, these are the games that you need to flip into the win column so that you can make up for that slow start and so you can make the back half of this schedule matter.
Now, the question James is asking on the chat is, would this be the biggest win in D'Amico era? Obviously, you would count a playoff win, and you would probably count Week 18 against Indianapolis. Obviously, that's kind of a win or go home. Mm-hmm. But I do look at this the same way in 2023 that I look at the road game against Cincinnati, where it's kind of a situation where up to that point you've been up and down. You drop game that you had no business losing in the manner in which you lost it, and the Indianapolis game doesn't happen without that Cincinnati game. So I kind of look at this the same way, because you have a situation where I don't want to sit here and say that you're like fighting an uphill battle, because if you win this game, you're 3-3, but you have kind of put yourself in position to where there's not as much margin for error. The schedule's not going to get any easier. So you look at the road games that you got late in the season. You're going to have Kansas City. You're going to have Chargers. You're going to have to go Indianapolis, who we'll talk about in a second. So I do think it's right up there. And I compare it to the Seattle game, where that was where you kind of looked at them and said, okay, they're legit. They can go compete with anyone. So I would put it right up there with Cincinnati, but I don't think you can put it above playoff wins. I don't think you can put it above Week 18 Indianapolis.
Well, I think there's a couple of games from 2023 that you point out are certainly bigger, but this is the type of game that you made changes in the offseason after last year to make sure you win. Because think about last year, they did not do a good job of building a ton of momentum at any point last year. Okay, they won a couple of games. They got smoked by the Vikings. They won a few games. They got smoked and beat around by the Packers. They sneak back into the win column against Indy, and then boom, lose to the Jets, horrible loss to the Lions. You beat the Cowboys Monday Night Football, then you lose the Titans at home. Like, they didn't do a good job building momentum. And this, to me, it's a bigger game than almost anything they did and the results counted in 2024. And yeah, those 2023 games that you mentioned, they're a little bit bigger, but your chance to just prove that you're headed in the right direction and that the changes and the adjustments and where you took this team coming out of the offseason is in the right, you're headed in the right direction. You're going down the right road.
We'll go to the super chat before I talk about the two biggest concerns that the Texans will have heading into this game. And you guys can probably guess. I would say you probably guess both of them. One really, really big, and one, well, some thought he was too small. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Logan Taylor 6213 says, which player has surpassed your expectations so far?
I mean, it's got to be multiple offensive linemen, right?
Yeah, I guess the O-line.
I mean, the O-line is a worthwhile answer as a whole. If you want
Titus Howard for sure. I'll Titus Howard.
Ed Ingram for me. I mean, he was Minnesota's Kenyon Green, and he's come down here and he's been. I mean, when was the last time you really paid attention to Ed Ingram since he got in the starting lineup? Like you haven't, which is great because Shaq Mason couldn't stay off of anybody's radar a year ago at right guard. And this year, Ed Ingram, we talk about every other guy on the team except for Ed Ingram, basically, when they go on offense. It's like, that's great. I don't ever want to talk about Ed Ingram ever again. I want to just go do his job for the rest of the year.
So I have two things that I think are the biggest areas of concern for the Texans in this game. How are they going to block and how are they going to guard JSN? Like that's really what I think that this game comes down to. And I know that the stats were going crazy. Trevor Lawrence was pressured, I think damn near 60% of the time. And JSN's the most explosive receiver in the league right now. I saw Phil Yates just tweeted. I think he has 11 catches, 20 yards or more, something like that. So
I got the stat right here on throws of 20 plus air yards this year. Jackson Smith-Njigba has the most receptions in the NFL with 11 and the most receiving yards in the NFL with 402.
Yeah, so he's having a pretty good year. I think this is going to be what it's going to come down to. Like, if you've been hesitant to buy into the interior of the offensive line, or if you're worried about perhaps Ariante Ursary not looking great, this is not the ideal team for an offensive line. This is actually one of the more underrated fronts in the NFL. And we already know how we feel about this offensive line, although it's been more pleasant. And then the JSN thing's interesting because they're actually lining him up outside a little bit more. Cooper Kupp's there. The ghost of Cooper. That was one of the most annoying things. We miss a lot of draft stuff, but like the fact that it was mentioned that he can't line up outside, it was just wild. He had Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Marvin Harrison Jr. What did you want them to do? Like, did you want him to like line up outside ahead of those guys? But I don't know how you guard JSN because he can still go in the slot. I know people roll their eyes whenever I keep bringing it up, but I do think this is going to be the biggest challenge of the year for Jalen Petrie since Puka. Like since they faced Puka week 1. And that's, I don't know. Do you have Stingley follow around JSN? Like what will they do? Because that's going to be perhaps the deciding factor for them. Because I don't think they can run the ball on the Texans. I don't think Seattle can run the ball. They got a weird ass committee where
we'll talk about this over the course of the week, but one of my prevailing thoughts early, and I'll add more evidence and just kind of talk about it over the course of the week, is Gary Kubiak's son is the type of offensive coordinator DeMeco should dominate. Like, this is the type of offensive coordinator that DeMeco Ryan should stuff in a locker. Okay. And that's one of my prevailing thoughts.
Back in the day, hey,
exactly, exactly. So I'm very intrigued to kind of think about and talk about that over the course of the week and add some context to why I feel that way. I I say this today, and I don't think I'm going to change it all week long. Follow JSN with Stingley. Don't screw around. It's the best guy on their team. He's the best player on their offense. Go put a hopefully healthy Derek Stingley coming out of the bye week on JSN, and let Kamari Lassiter handle one of the other guys, and then just hope and pray that you're getting enough out of Jalen Petrie when they throw some of those successful slot guys against him. So I would just have Derek Stingley follow him. And I know that's not typically what they do. I know that's not typically how they operate, but they've done it. They've done it. Like, it's one thing to have them piece it together and Darnold finds everybody and JSN still wins enough against Stingley. And okay, they beat you on that day. It's another to just put an inferior coverage guy on JSN from time to time and just have that dominate you over the course of the game. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, because the thing about it with him is a lot of times whenever you're talking about slot guys and them finding a way to match up with Petrie or whoever throughout the course of the game, like it's typically like, well, he burned him. And then, it's not as explosive as what JSN is. Like having Petrie line up with JSN and them go in motion and find out what's going on. That can be as simple as 6 points. Cause there's no chance for Petrie to be able to line up on JSN. You have one of the best corners in the league. He's getting 15 days of rest, much needed. Put him on him and let's see what happens. Like let's strap it up and let's just have that side camera where between plays let's just show the JSN versus Derek Stingley battle throughout, because that's what you pay Stingley to do. They've had him do it before. It's just a unique situation that they're dealing with, and I think the fact that he does line up outside a lot more now might make it more something that they're comfortable with.
Well, over the course of this season, they've really only it's kind of been a specialty thing with JSN from a snap count perspective of when they put him inside. It hasn't been a constant thing. They've just kind of mixed and matched as to what exactly and who exactly they want in there. But he has not had a tremendous amount of slot snaps this year. But he does it enough that you need to account for it, and he can turn a handful of slot snaps into 6 with ease. He is playing like one of the best wide receivers in all of football right now. You cannot mess around with this guy.
Yeah, and I also look at, like, how the NFL has like MVP and then they have the offensive player of the year. It's kind of funny. Like right now, three of your remaining 12 matchups, you're facing two guys that are near the top of those conversations with Jonathan Taylor and Smith and Jigba. So you're gonna have your hands full with JSN. Like there's zero doubt about that.
Yeah, and it's not just him either. Like, I know we say, hey, you got to focus on it. Like Cooper Kupp's having a nice season. They've gotten good production out of the tight end that they have over there. Barner, Horton's had a couple of moments here and there. I mean, shoot, Sam Darnold's number 3 in the league in passing. Like, and he's having a really good year. And yes, obviously when you have the NFL's leading receiver, you're going to be ranking high in passing yards, but he's found a way to find 1,000 other receiving yards for his guys outside of throwing the ball to Jackson Smith and Jigba. So they've done a good job getting it going through the air. And, you gotta get home with this pass rush and you got to figure out how to slow down one of the NFL's best receivers right now.
And someone who knows very well about JSN, CJ Stroud. He also knows a little something about TDECU, as we do. Reaction Monday presented by TDECU. This is kind of a look ahead version of that. But the great thing about TDECU is that fresh new Texans debit card, Cody.
Oh, man, it's a beaut. It's a beauty. You can go into one of the 15 greater Houston area TDECU locations, get signed up, get that Texans debit card, that fresh H logo on it. And in addition to that, you're going to get the perk of 15% off the online team store. You can find out all the information you need at tdecu.org/Texans. Membership required, insured by the NCUA. But the perks, man, they are consistent and constant with TDECU, and you're getting new jerseys, new hats, new shirts, maybe a new car decal, whatever. Maybe you just want a set of Houston Texans pins for the office. So you get all your work done with the Houston Texans. Whatever you can get out of the team store, you get 15% off of that TDECU Texans debit card. It looks fantastic. It'll be the envy of all your Texans friends when you pull that out to pay for drinks or pay for dinner. Or, the holiday season's right around the corner. Maybe you do a little holiday shopping, getting 15% off. Nobody will ever know that you didn't pay full price for their new Texans gear because you have that TDCU Texans debit card. Check them out today. The perks, and they are numerous in addition to that. You won't be disappointed when you put your money with TDCU.
Membership required, insured by NCUA. So we've talked about the matchups that the Texans are going to be a little bit concerned about, like individually. Is this their toughest game of the year, though? If you follow the money, it's about the same. I think they were a 3-point dog against the Rams. I think they're a 3-point dog here. They were favored against Tampa Bay, and they've been they are. This is like when it comes to the line, it's about the same.
I feel like week one is tough because you never know what to expect, and there were so many new pieces for the Texans, and so that one's tough. So I almost kind of put the Rams in its own category. But as far as the next four opponents, this to me, Monday Night Football off the bye, Seahawks are feeling themselves. They just beat a team that beat you. It feels to me like this is the toughest game they've played up to this point. Just on the road, weird start time that you're not really used to, coming off of the bye. And I'm not super worried about like, are they sluggish coming out of the bye? I'm not super worried about that, but you'd much rather have played this opponent in a routine than to have this crazy one-off. But I guess if you're going to have the crazy one-off coming off the bye, it's maybe the good time to have it. I don't know. It's tough to figure out the internal body clocks of football players sometimes. We know they're going to settle into a noon rhythm after this one, but it feels to me like it's the toughest matchup. They are really good along the defensive line and their ability to put pressure on the quarterback without sending a bunch of guys. So, your offensive line, they've had a couple of nice weeks in a row. Okay, this is a tough task for you. These guys are feeling it. And by the way, that offense is grooving for Seattle. This to me is the toughest matchup they've had yet.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. HDAV Traveler Afternoon, Landry, Cody, and friends. We are stuffing OCs in lockers now. Damn it, Bobby. You don't need to do it to Bobby.
No, but Bobby didn't get stuffed in a locker. He got a pink slip in his locker.
Team player says we need to get after Darnold for what he did to us last year. Yeah, they had their way. Minnesota defense helped too. T says, is there a more overrated 5-1 team than Indy? If we had their schedule, we would be 5-1. Need to pressure Darnold. See, I think Indy's a serious problem. And I know I know it's not like the most popular thing, and I said it yesterday. I know that they were going against Jacoby Brissett, and I know that's always going to be minimized, but they seem like a team that finds ways to win with the Colts. Like those are games, like you can say what you want, but teams lose games that they shouldn't in the NFL. Indianapolis has been able to win, and I think they're quarterback proof because of Shane Steichen. The defense is a little bit suspect if you just look at the yards, but if you look at the points per game, the points per game is top 5. Now, the opponent does need to be mentioned there, but my biggest concern with Indianapolis is they might have the best running back and the best tight end in the league right now. If you can make a very strong case that Tyler Warren is the best tight end in football this year. I don't even know how strong it needs to be. I think he's top 20 in yards.
Who could have seen that coming except for everybody that watches us?
Everybody except the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have that, and then you have Jonathan Taylor looking like he's looking, and they have a few game lead on you. So I think the Colts are pretty good. I compared them to last year's Minnesota Vikings. I think the ceiling can be limited, but I think they still have potential to win games. And the one thing that they have is, it's Daniel Jones, but he happens to have a tight end, which can be a quarterback's best friend. I think Tyler Warren's going to he's on pace to break Brock Bowers' records. And then Jonathan Taylor looks like the best back in the league again. So I think it's a little bit. I would not say that they're overrated.
I'm still not buying into them I'm buying into them as a threat to the AFC South because of the hole the Texans started in and where the Colts have been able to sort of separate themselves in the standings. I just don't buy that they're a really, really good football team. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, there's some sort of balance there. I cannot believe the Bears allowed Tyler Warren to get to the Colts. That's just,
it's an absolute overthink special. Hey, we need a dynamic tight end. Well, let's get the other tight end that's not as dynamic as the guy.
he's the $50 million man, dude. He basically got James Franklin his contract, and then when he left, James Franklin got exposed, and he got $50 million because of Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I mean he's on pace for over 1,000 yards this year, handful of touchdowns, and it feels like it's getting easier and easier, and they're trusting him more and more as they go along here, and it's scary as that guy continues to figure things out. So, but yeah, they obviously have created a sizable gap between the Texans and where they are because of their start and the Texans start. So I'm not ignorant to that. I'm not ignorant to the fact that they have a much easier schedule for the rest of this year than the Houston Texans do. So it allows them a lot more room for error. I just don't believe they're a really, really good football team. I believe they're certainly very
good. Really, really good. I don't know that the Texans are really, really good. So that's kind of what I'm at right now.
I know the Texans aren't really, really good right now. I know they're not. So the Texans have as much and probably more to prove than the Colts do. I mean, yeah, okay, beat some good teams would be the conversation for the Texans. I'd say that for the Colts too, but the Colts have handled their business much better this season than the Texans have. So they're very solid and they're off to a really good start, and they're the kings of a division that historically has been pretty weak. And you're going to have to make up a lot of ground to challenge them for the division crown.
But the Seattle win changes everything. Like if you beat Seattle and you go to 3-3, and we've marked 5-5 as what they need to be after week 11. Worst case scenario. Like if you do that, I'm sure some of y'all at least got to peek at San Francisco. They are depleted. My God. Like you thought Baltimore was depleted. It's the same thing with San Francisco. They are roughed up. Denver's good, but they didn't look awesome against the Jets. It's kind of been up and down where it could go either way with Denver. And then Jacksonville, that's the one you got to win. But if you win the Seattle game, it gets very interesting for them.
I would venture to say that if you took the Texans schedule and the Colts schedule and smashed all the opponents together, the best win on the schedule would be beating Seattle on Monday Night Football in Seattle if the Texans do it.
Unless you want to count Denver. But I
think the Seahawks are better than Denver right now.
Well, yeah, and I think you also look at the way it happened and how there was a little bit of BS involved, and it wasn't in Denver; it was in Indy.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
The H man, he says the Texans need to learn to use their Woody. Forget about penetration. Woody needs balls. Goodness gracious, they're just getting dirty, Herm.
Come on now.
Good Lord, we're just getting disgusting now. Goodness gracious.
Chubb and Woody.
Dom in Jersey says it's so nice to be back. F bye weeks. Give the listeners a nice little Monday Night Football parlay tonight. H is up. All right, you want a Monday Night Football parlay? Are we doing player props?
If we are, I got a sweet one.
Why is Buffalo plus 3.5 or minus 3.5?
Oh, are people overreacting to that Patriots game?
It's 4.5 now, but what are we doing here? Like, I know it's in Atlanta and all that. I know that stuff happens crazy, but what's the deal there?
Oh, I don't understand that one at all. That makes no sense to me.
All right, so what I'm gonna do?
I'm seeing 3.5.
I got it at 4.5. I'm gonna tease Buffalo up to minus 6.5. That's gonna be leg one. We're gonna say they win by a touchdown. If they don't, you charge it to the game.
Oh, you're doing alt spread?
Yeah, I alt spread it at 6.5. Then I'm gonna go receptions. James Cook over 2.5.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go to game 2 with the Bears and Commanders. I'm going to take Caleb Williams passing TDs at over 1.5. And then I'm going to take the Bears point total at over 20.5. That's 9-1 right there. So that's what I will be going with. I will be going with Buffalo minus 6.5, James Cook over 2.5, Caleb Williams over 1.5, and then Bears over 20.5.
I like that. That's good. I'm gonna do just a little simple touchdown parlay. Bijan, Cook, Debo, and Rome all to score a touchdown.
Oh wow.
12.5 to 1.
Oh wow. There you go.
I'm feeling it on the touchdown parlays. I hit a 5-player touchdown parlay yesterday, so I'm feeling it.
Damn.
Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr., Ted McMillan, Kyron Williams, Ashton Genty, and Josh Jacobs. So I'm feeling it on the touchdown parlay. So
that Jacobs one, was that his second or first touchdown against the Bengals where he where the Bengals cut it to like 3 or whatever? Or did he already have a touchdown at that point? He finished with 2 yesterday?
I think he had 2 yesterday, yeah.
Okay, so you were good. You were good on that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bijan, Cook, Debo, and Rome for me for a touchdown parlay.
there you go. Can't hate on that.
Nah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
How much did this game's perception change from the preseason?
I mean, I didn't expect Seattle to certainly be where they are right now and look as good as they did. They were they flew under the radar, it felt like to me, from an offseason standpoint. And, I know that they paid Sam Darnold. I don't know any of us feel like he's ever going to be worth the money. Well, 6 weeks into this thing, he feels like he's worth every penny to them.
Yeah. That was me. My whole thing was I thought Minnesota did a good job of maximizing Darnold when it was buy low time, and I thought that Seattle bought a little bit too high. So I'll be honest. That's kind of what I thought. The schedule though, like when the game was actually played, always it always garnered attention when you're playing a 9:00 Monday nighter.
Yeah.
The actual matchup, I'm with you, but the actual like time. And maybe it's the extreme of sleeping on their roster, and maybe we're over romanticizing the time, but that always generated attention.
Yeah, I will say this. I feel like in every iteration of the win-win loss game, when I went through the schedule, I put this down as a win basically every time I played the win-win loss game. And if I went and played it from the beginning. Now, knowing what I know about these teams, I don't know if I would feel as confident as I did the 3-4 times I played the win-win loss game.
The early spread is 3, so that's where they're at. The early spread right now is 3. I would imagine it goes up. I would think you probably can get the Texans at 4 by the time kickoff happens. It feels like the nerds really value. Now they do value teams coming off buys, but it seems like they really value like late kicks. Like even when it comes, and I say nerds like wise guys, like even the 10 a.m. Pac-12 type of vibes, like they not Pac-12, excuse me, Big Ten, former Pac-12 teams in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. They value that. So that happened.
Yeah. Oh. Hello, Landry. You there? All right, we'll get Landry back here in just a minute. Got a super chat. You jump to the front of the line. We'll get to some comments, your questions, your joys, and your concerns about this one. We'll talk a little bit about the AFC South and one of the changes that we knew was all coming here in just a moment when Landry gets back. But yeah, if you played the win-win loss game before the year, you were putting the Seahawks down as a win for the Texans. Now I don't know that you feel as confident about it. Certainly not to the same level as, some of these other games that you would have put down as the win-win loss game. So Seattle's done a really good job of, it's been a kind of a culmination too of the past couple of years where they've built towards this, where they hopefully were only a QB away, and they're certainly playing better, and they trusted Jackson Smith and Jigba to take it to the next level, and he's done just that. So They did a good job putting together this team here headed into the season. And I think there's a slight element of overachievement to the Seahawks, but they might just be a really solid football team too.
Yeah, I think they're definitely good. I definitely think they're a good squad for sure. I just got frozen. I don't know what's going on that, but yeah, we're back on sides. Let's talk about Texans turf though. What I was starting to get to. Shout out to Dan and his squad. The greatness that is Texans turf. Kings of the Turf every Sunday on the Locker Room post-game show, every Monday on SNL, whether it's a playing area, it's pest proof, which is great. There's no insects biting my daughter or my dog, and they like to just go out there and chill. And the best time for Texans turf for me is when the fall comes around and you got that fire pit and you can just hang out there. Very, 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 very solid thing that I did for my home. And I strongly recommend it. Texans turf, Dan and his team, they're the best. I shopped around. I was a customer before I became a partner.
Yeah, look, it takes care of so much for you. Always clean, always green. You don't have to worry about tracking a bunch of stuff in. You don't have to worry about yard maintenance. And it's customized to exactly what you want. Maybe you just want it in a section of your backyard, or maybe you want your entire grass area replaced with Texans turf. Maybe you just want that putting green. Work on the short game. Walk outside, work on the short game. You can do all that at TexasTurf.com. You see the beautiful work that they've done for everybody else. Hey, maybe your house is next to get added to the portfolio. Check them out, TexasTurf.com. Schedule that free estimate today.
Yep, they're the best. So how was the red zone experience yesterday? I guess it was good.
Oh man, it's not typically how I watch football. Obviously, you and I both, we primarily focus on one game and then catch a little bit of the other ones. But I mean, when it's going, like when a lot of teams are going all at once, it is so much fun. And my buddy, he jumped up the experience even more. He had red zone on a giant TV, and then he had the quad box on another TV over here. So we were just this football heaven. And then he was ordering food and bringing drinks in, and it was awesome. Just kicked back, relaxed, and watched a ton of football. I wish they had more games in the afternoon slate though. Like the two Monday Night Football games and the European game take away from the potential chaos because you only have like a small afternoon slate. So, and I guess the NFL's, they haven't made enough money, so they got to go, multi Monday Night Football and international and stuff like that. But
we had some other stuff go down in the South. So we talked about the Colts. We saw the Jags lose to Seattle, as expected. Your boy Callahan got canned.
It's about 6 weeks too late. Or really, it's about 6 months too late. They should have got rid of this guy in the offseason.
Did you see who John McClain, by the way, he's going to be at Spanky's with us on Friday. We hope you're there. 17th at the Sharpstown location. Did you see who he's pushing? And I think this is relevant because John McClain's pretty big in Tennessee. Very big in Tennessee.
Who's McClain pushing?
Gruden.
Oh, I don't think John Gruden will ever coach in the NFL ever again.
No, I know, but that's who McClain's pushing.
I think John Gruden's got a better chance to be a college football head coach than an NFL head coach.
Oh, he's going to Penn State, huh? There you go. Heard it here first.
No, I just think, Arkansas sillily believes they could get John Gruden, I'm sure. But no, I don't. Gruden has an active lawsuit against the league.
Yeah, they took his emails.
Yeah. And he's here's another thing that's working against Gruden. He's winning. He's winning the lawsuit. Like the NFL's in trouble with the lawsuit. So that's why I don't think Gruden's coming back. Is there a coach that they could hire that you would be like, damn, that they nailed that?
You know who? I'm not going to say it though, because I'd get too much crap for it. I'm not going to quit him until he gets hired. I'm not going to quit him. But
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown, dude. Josh McCown's always my answer to the question.
I tell you what, if I was, I would not advise the Titans to do this, but I could see where it would happen. If I was Bill Belichick, I'd be trying to get a Tennessee parachute out of North Carolina. I'd be trying to get them to get me out of this college football mess that I found myself in if I was Belichick.
I don't know, man. I feel like he's tarnished his ish so much to where nobody wants anything to do with him. I've never seen anyone just completely destroy everything that he built like this. Albert Breer's even given stats about him now.
Yeah, Albert Breer turning on Belichick was unexpected.
Yeah, he's given like Andy Reid without the Chiefs stats, and I'm like, what? These have been around for years. Where, talking about kicking a man when he's down.
Yeah, yeah. So I McCown would be really good for them. I think highly of him, probably not as highly as you think of him, but I mean that'd be good for them. They certainly need to figure out how to find out about Cam Ward, and if he is indeed good, they need to find a guy that can maximize him as best they can.
And that's why I think McCown would be good.
I mean, you have to throw into the mix whoever Baker Mayfield's offensive coordinator is. That guy's a head coach every year.
Maybe MVP Baker Mayfield.
I do wonder, like, what they went with the young. I don't know that Callahan was like up and coming, but like they went with the young offensive mind before. I wonder if they try to go with something much different than that, maybe an older coach or.
That's where you screw up though, man. Like that's where you try to go from one extreme to the other, and it just kind of.
There's really not like, I mean, I just don't know. There's not a ton of names that like jump off the page that like A would be interested in them and B they would be interested in him.
Yeah. And
obviously we've talked about if Stefanski gets fired in Cleveland, we don't want him in Tennessee.
Yeah, the Browns wouldn't do that, would they?
I mean, this is an organization that gave Deshaun Watson, coming off of a year of no football with a pending NFL suspension against him, the biggest contract in the history of football guaranteed. So, yeah, I think they would do something stupid.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. We appreciate everyone for rolling through. This is just getting back in the groove, and it's officially on to Seattle. Reminder, Spankies this Friday, 10/17. That's Gucci Day, by the way. We'll be out there, and John McClain will be out there.
We'll be releasing like a new shoe or a new clothing item or something.
Nah, it's 10/17 Brick Squad, so it's always Gucci Day. Usually he'll drop an album. I don't know.
The rapper, not the clothing brand.
No.
Okay.
Gotcha. I talked about Gucci. All right. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.